You're climbing Mount Everest and you've been in the death zone for hours. You're running low on oxygen and then you see him. A teenager, his body half buried in snow, still in his summit suit. He almost looks peaceful, like he just sat down for a break, but he never got up again. This is Everest reality. The mountain doesn't care if you're young. It doesn't care if it's your first time or your only dream. It just takes, quietly and most definitely, permanently. Welcome to the world's most dangerous bucket list goal. Everest isn't just for elite athletes and seasoned mountaineers anymore. It's a magnet for dreamers, adrenaline junkies, and yes, even teenagers. Kids chasing something big, something epic, something viral. I'm about to tell you about 3 teens who stood on the roof of the world. Some survived, some didn't. But all of them came far too close to becoming part of Everest's frozen graveyard. Rahul from India, Ming from Nepal, Jordan from the United States. 3 different kids, 3 different outcomes, one terrifying truth. Youth doesn't protect you up here. If anything, it makes the fall even harder. And once you know their stories, you'll understand why Everest doesn't just test your strength, it tests your judgment. And judgment is something most teenagers haven't had the time to develop. I want you to imagine this. You're 19, 17, maybe even younger. What were you doing at that age? Studying for exams, playing video games, worrying about prom or your driver's test. These kids were learning how to survive with 30% oxygen, how to stay conscious while their bodies shut down, how to keep climbing while their fingers went numb. They didn't wait till they grew up to conquer Everest, and Everest didn't forgive them for being young. Before we dive into these chilling climbs of these teenagers, let me just say, I'm a small channel sharing real stories from the world's highest and most dangerous places like Mount Everest. If you like content like this, please like and subscribe. It helps more than you know, and it lets me keep bringing these stories to life. Thank you. Let's dive into the story of Rahul Panchal. In April 2015, Rahul Panchal, a 19-year-old climber from India, lost his life on the southern slope of Mount Everest, becoming one of the youngest confirmed fatalities on the mountain. Rahul wasn't a reckless thrill seeker. He had climbing experience, was part of a structured expedition, and had trained for the altitude, but no amount of preparation could protect him from what happened next. On April 25th, just above Camp 4, a devastating earthquake struck Nepal. The tremors triggered massive avalanches that swept down Everest's slopes, obliterating camps and leaving climbers scattered, trapped, or dead. Rahul was caught in the chaos. His oxygen supply was dwindling, his communication systems failed, and visibility dropped to 0. In the mayhem, he became separated from his team and was last seen near the South Col, desperately trying to descend. The temperatures plunged below -40 degrees Celsius. In the death zone, where the body is already slowly shutting down, every missed step is fatal. Rahul never made it back. His body was later recovered just a few hundred meters from where safety may have been possible. He wasn't climbing during a storm or pushing past his limits. He was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time when nature decided to strike. His death didn't make international headlines like others, but for those in the climbing world, it became a painful reminder. Even young, experienced, and well-supported climbers are at the mercy of Everest's unpredictability. Rahul's story echoes through the community as a quiet warning that youth doesn't grant immunity and Everest doesn't give second chances. For the next story, we move forward to 2003. This time, it's not about loss, but about how close we came to loss and what it did to the world. Ming was only 15 years old when she became the youngest person in history to summit Everest. 15. That's barely old enough to drive in most countries. But Ming was no ordinary teen. She came from a Sherpa family. Her brother and sister were both climbers, and she had grown up in the shadow of Everest. For her, this wasn't some wild fantasy. It was home. She wanted the summit, and guess what? She got it. She climbed from the Tibetan side, where age restrictions were looser. And on May 22, 2003, she stood at the top of the world. She smiled for photos, took in the view, and then turned around to head down. But the climb back was brutal. High winds, thin air, physical exhaustion. Her body began to fail. She made it down safely, barely, thanks to her siblings and the support team. But after her descent, the world lit up. Was this bravery or irresponsibility? Was she an inspiration or a warning sign? Journalists asked why a teenager had been allowed in the death zone in the first place. A single mistake, a failed oxygen tank, a misstep, and she could have joined the long list of Everest's youngest victims. The Nepalese government reacted fast. They passed a rule banning under 16s from climbing Everest. Ming's name may be in the record books, but it also changed the rules forever. Her victory made history. But her survival was razor thin. And then there's Jordan Romero. He was just 13 years old. Let that sink in. 13. In 2010, he became the youngest person ever to summit Mount Everest. He had a dream to climb the 7 summits, and his parents didn't just support him, they climbed alongside him. His dad and stepmom were both on the expedition. He trained for years, did high-altitude prep climbs. And on May 22, 2010, Jordan did what thousands of adults never will. He made his big dream come true. He stood on the top of the world, on Everest's summit. But his story ignited a firestorm. News outlets, mountaineers, even psychologists weighed in. Was it bold or dangerous? What if something had gone wrong? What if the weather had changed, the oxygen tanks failed, or the Sherpas couldn't keep up? At 13, Jordan had no life experience to make life and death decisions. That's not a judgment, it's biology. Teen brains aren't wired for this kind of risk. His success sparked international debate. Some called it a family triumph. Others called it reckless parenting. Nepal had already banned under 16s to climb Everest, so Jordan and his parents climbed from Tibet, where the laws were looser. After his climb, officials began discussing stricter regulations globally. Because Everest doesn't care about age, but the rest of us should. What most people don't realize is how fragile success really is up there. Just days after Jordan's climb, another teen attempted the same route and never came back. The difference between a world record and a body in the snow can be as simple as one cracked oxygen mask, one missed step, or 1 hour too long in the death zone. Up there, the mountain makes no distinction between brave and naive. Everest doesn't just take your body if you are just a teenager. It takes your future, your plans, your graduation, your first heartbreak, and your chance to grow up. That's what makes these stories so haunting. They weren't finished yet. These weren't veterans at the end of their journey. These were teenagers with everything ahead of them. And all of it was lost in a single decision: to go up when they maybe should have waited. So, what do these 3 stories tell us? Rahul did everything right, trained, prepared, was surrounded by experts, and still never made it home. His family still wonders what his final moments were like. Ming came home as a national hero but barely survived, and changed the law just by showing what was possible. Jordan beat the odds and made it, became a global sensation, but exposed the deep discomfort people have watching kids in the death zone. Their fates remind us that Everest isn't just a mountain, it's a mirror. It shows you what you're made of and what you're missing. For teenagers, Everest is more than just a peak. It's a line, and crossing that line too soon can cost everything.